Well, hey, Ken, welcome
Hey,
to Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're so glad that you could do this with us today. Everyone, I want you to meet Ken Babby. He's not only my friend, but he is the owner of the Akron RubberDucks, who's been a wonderful partner of ours for 7+ years now. And I'm so glad that he could join us today for our Imagine Impact campaign. So
we're so
I'm
appreciative of
gonna
the
give you a
partnership.
tour.
Yes. So excited to see it. Yes, it's great.
So Ken, come on in. We're gonna come in first to the living room, and no, this is the kitchen. This is the kitchen. What am I thinking? I'm backwards. So Ken, tell us a little bit about what home means to you. When you think about home, when you think about being somewhere with Josh, and you know, what do you think about when you think of home?
Yeah, I mean, I think now more than ever, we all value our homes probably more than we ever have, right? I mean, and given in light of the recent events in this year, and you know, homes have become, you know, places of refuge. They've become our offices. They've become, you know, family gathering places as they always were, and oftentimes just a place to reset at the end of the day or the end of the week. You know, as so much has been taken away from us in 2020, I think the value of being together with family, you know, at home matters now more than ever. We wish it could be down at Canal Park.
We do too.
We'll have to wait a few more months for that, but I will say, I think truly now more than ever, I think we all value the spaces that we have, the safe spaces that we have to be with the people in our family and in our group, and I think that's something that I think we all hold very close.
Yeah. And how are you kind of, you know, keeping your staff motivated during this time? Your front office staff, and I don't know what kind of connection to the players you have during like off season, but how are you kind of keeping them, you know, motivated about staying positive and working from home and not getting to see each other?
Well, first of all, I mean, I think we're incredibly fortunate to have, you know, what we think is not only the best and brightest staff in minor league baseball, but really in sports and entertainment throughout Northeast Ohio. And really, even pre-pandemic, you know, went into this crisis with the folks that we hold dear, that make affordable family fun at Canal Park great. So no doubt, 2020 lost baseball season. We had to pivot, think differently about our business, whether it was movie nights or swing for your swag on the field, right, or what have you, in terms of the different events, or the senior spotlight games that our team did such a wonderful job of bringing
the
high school students together that didn't get a chance to play in 2020.
Yeah.
And so we tried as best as we could to pivot, to create, and still fulfill for our mission. Our staff was engaged in those events, opening Canal Park, even in the middle of a pandemic. But no doubt, it's been a challenging year, I think, for all of us. And the RubberDucks are tough. We will battle back, and we will have baseball back next spring in 2021 for sure.
Well, we will be there.
Yeah, we can't wait. And we value this partnership. And it's so exciting to see sort of the you know, we work so hard, I think, in the community to try and build, but to actually stand on the soil, in the house, seeing the drywall, seeing the progress of the great work that's being done here by you, your team, other volunteers. You were just talking about a group coming in this Friday to continue drywall work here. Even in the middle of a pandemic, I think it shows you how strong our community is, how awesome Akron is. Cities throughout the country have truly shut down, and here you have groups coming in, helping to build homes for people in the middle of a pandemic. It's awesome, Michelle.
You know, we hear that term resilient, you know, thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
I have to say, you know, Akron, in my opinion, is, not that I have lived a bunch of places, and I know you have lived many places, but I mean, this has always been my home, you know, but, you know, from the 9/11 fire truck fund, when this community pulled together, to, you know, families who have, you know, devastating, you know, tragedies that happen and how the community pulls together. So, you know, building a house, while it might not seem resilient in an effort, it is resilient to see 8 houses pop out of the ground on a piece of property that was just sitting here vacant across from the school, across from the park. You know, that just warms my heart about our community.
Well, and as you were sharing before we started the camera, you know, the gentleman, the disabled gentleman that's going to be living in this house, the family next door, the other family that's moved in behind us that waved to you on their way to work this morning. Think about the gratitude that these families and individuals have, particularly now around the holidays, in what probably for all of us has been the worst year of our lifetime.
Oh, gosh.
And we're still so blessed to have what we do. And to see somebody getting in their car and going to work in a home that the community helped build and your team helped build and the volunteers helped build, that is really heartwarming this time of year. You should be incredibly proud of that work.
Well, thank you.
I know we are as well.
Thank you. Well, so this is kind of an open concept house, for lack of a better word. So we were in the kitchen and the dining area, and now this is kind of the living room, where the family, will gather. So when you think about, when you think about Josh and when you think about kids in our community, so, how do you think stable housing, in your opinion, how does having a living room, a bedroom for a child, like how does that help the child, further their education, their self-esteem, their mental health? No, you're not a health professional, but how is it impacting your family?
Well, I think I'll leave the health opinions to the experts for sure. I will leave those to some very smart people in our region that are helping to answer those questions. I'm seeking advice for them as well. But I would say that, in things particularly in a living space, when you're together and you're with your family, it's really the place where I think we all can be probably most vulnerable, where we can sit there and I can sit with Josh and with Liz and say, this was a really tough week. We had to deal with this issue, or we had to deal with that issue. Or Josh, who, was set up to be in school in person and switched back to virtual, and to have his basketball season canceled. I mean, people are dealing with certainly more significant, more serious issues, life and death issues in the middle of a pandemic. But to a 12-year-old, losing the ability to go to school, losing the ability to go to camp, losing the ability to play basketball with his friends who hasn't seen in months. Or for Liz, who's been out of work and working from home since March with really no plan to return in person. She hasn't seen her colleagues since March with no return. And so, we sit there as a family and we commiserate, we laugh, we cry, and then I think we all realize, even after getting those emotions out, which is healthy to do, how fortunate we are, how fortunate we all are to be, to be together, to be able to have a home, to be able to be in a safe space, and to be together, even in this time. And so we will get through this. I have tried since day one of this to be a voice of optimism. That's just the nature of who I am as a person. We know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel to this, and I think we've got to grasp onto that optimism to think about 2021 being a better year, the promise of this vaccine, a lot of great news ahead. We're not there yet. We've got to be careful. We've got to be safe. We're hearing that same advice from our health experts, from our governors. We have to do that, as hard as that is around the holidays. But we know that 2021 will be better as a result of making those decisions.
Right. And you mentioned being safe, and I had mentioned there's some volunteers coming, this week, and we're being safe with our volunteers. They have to. We're limiting it to 4 volunteers inside the house as we're doing drywall. Of course, with a face covering on, working with our one site supervisor in the house. When we were outside, we had group sizes of about 7.
Right.
So we were still trying to, manage the group size. We've got hand sanitizer all over the place. We have a hand washing station that we've been using. So, we're being safe at the job site. We're trying really hard to be safe in our restore. But just like any other retail, operation, we are having the challenges of, individuals that don't necessarily believe that the mask or face covering is going to help. So, we just are urging people to please follow the guidelines. We want your support. We want to be there to support the community, but it does get hard, it does get hard. And then keeping, just as I asked you about keeping your staff motivated, it's just as hard keeping our staff motivated, especially when they've got, traffic and noise on this side, noise coming from this side, and then just the pressures of their family lives and situations. So
no, take for example things that we've been used to our whole life. We're sitting, we're friends. When I see you normally, I give you a hug.
Yes,
I smile. As you're sharing the stories of families moving into these homes or talking about our staff, which gives me so much pride. You can't see the smile on my face. I can't give you a hug. I'm a big high fiver, as everybody knows. I'm dying here. So I think we've got to find a way to look forward to and be excited about the future and appreciate the past of what we've had, while being present in the future and being present in the moment and realizing this This is an incredibly unique time. By the way, that has gone on longer than anybody thought. I mean, I went back and watched some videos and different things that we did in the community back in April, and it's going to get better by summer, and it's going to get better by the fall, and now we're in the fall and talking about potentially a very difficult winter. But I think we do have a lot of reasons to be optimistic here in Akron. Akron always bounces back.
Yes.
The story of our community and in Northeast Ohio is one of resilience. And so it's very fitting to be in a place like this that's going to mean so much to a family, thanks to the work of your incredible volunteers.
Well, thank you. Well, let's look a little bit more through this house. Let's take a walk back here. We're going to head toward the bedrooms, and there's 3 bedrooms in this house. So, well, this is the little, this is the living closet. Sorry, I wanted to say pantry, but that's in the kitchen. So 3 bedrooms here, a really large bathroom. Because again, you know, with the homeowner here having some physical disabilities, he's got some aids that help to walker, cane, those kinds of things that help him, you know, move around a little easier. So Ken, let's talk a little bit about, you know, like we talked a lot about Akron and the community, and you know, so a person's access, you know, research shows that a person's access to, you know, their opportunities are directly linked to their community. So we know a lot about Akron and what it has to offer, and you know where people live. So our Imagine Impact campaign, when we launched it, it's a 5-year campaign. We hope to build 75 homes in 5 years. So a little aggressive for us than where we've been. So how do you see 75 new homes in 5 years affecting Akron and affecting people who live here?
You know, I think, again, we come back to the meaning of the region, and you come back to the meaning of, you know, families and what they need, particularly now, you know, head into the cold weather months, right? I mean, we need homes. You know, nobody wants in this weather to think about the alternative, right? And so we're here. We know about the mental health issues in our community, nationally and globally during this pandemic. I can't think of anything that's more important, more impactful, more meaningful than putting a roof over somebody's head, giving them heat. I saw the vents here coming in, right? You know, just basics and things that we don't think about every day, like the new tub that's going in here and the shower. You know, the ability to have those amenities are things that we all take for granted. Sure. But the reality is, for a family, to not have those, it's just hard to imagine.
Yeah, you know, the food, clothing, and shelter. Yeah, I mean, our 3 basic needs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're seeing long lines at the food banks right now. Yeah. And, you know, our service workers in the restaurant industry, you know, are without employment. Yeah. You know, restaurants are to go only and no sit down. And, you know, and again, you know, we see on the news every day these long lines at food banks, but from one end of the United States to the other. Yeah. You know, it's just those kind of images are heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking to see it in your community. Yeah. A place that I think we feel so much pride for. Yeah. And of course, it's happening all over the country, but it really, you know, when you see it at home, it hits hard. It hits your heart.
Yeah,
and I
for
think
sure.
That's something we all feel.
For sure. Right? So you know a cornerstone of Habitat's program is sweat equity, because I have seen you with a hammer in your hand. I know you've done work on Habitat homes in places where you've lived and here. So, you know, how do you think a family's sweat equity and their investment in hanging these sheets of drywall and, you know, painting these walls when that time comes, how do you think their investment in building this? Because normally, if you're going to build a house, you hire a contractor, you know, they go about their thing and you pick out a few things about it, but you don't get to get in it and physically do it. So how does that?
Well, the word that comes to mind is pride, right? I mean, you know, to create something that has that deep a meaning for somebody, that you're providing those basic needs. We talked about the importance of shelter, and to have people play an active role in the delivery of that need, to me, is the greatest thing that you can do. And so, as they wake up in the home that they played a role in building, they feel tremendous pride in terms of that space, or those that volunteered to help build it. So, you know, imagine a kid growing up in the home saying, look, you know, my family, you know, is so fortunate to be able to be here. This slab of drywall, this, sink in the kitchen. This is how this got here, to be able to actually physically tell the story of how this happened. And these people from all over the community came to help. I helped. Everybody helped to play a role in terms of building this thing out of the ground. That's a really special thing for a family. And I think about kids a lot in that process. I think about the world we want our kids to grow up in, the world we want our families to grow up in. And we always say we want our kids to grow up in a life better than the one that we had. And I think that's what our grandparents thought about, and that's what our ancestors thought about. And so that's what I think about when you talk about sweat equity, that sense of pride and building something for the future for our family.
Yeah. I've been in my role here with Habitat I celebrated 15 years this summer. And I think back to some of the first houses that were built during my time. And the children of those homes, they've graduated high school, they've graduated college, or they've gotten married, they're having children. We've held baby showers for families in our training room and at our building, and they're paying off. So when Habitat started, initially it was always a 20-year zero interest mortgage. And, we have had, I think we're at 36 families who have paid their homes off over the time, owned them outright. They become a generational asset, and that to me has changed their lives. And to know that I put one drywall screw in just to change a family's life,
It's awesome.
And so for volunteers and sponsors and donors, as they come out, to know that one drywall screw that they put in a wall is going to make a generational change for families.
Well, and think about how those volunteers will also, drive by and be able to show their family and friends that they played a role in helping that family have what they do today. Like, that it comes back to pride again. And so we're so fortunate to have you here in Akron and leading Habitat during probably the hardest time, right? We all think, somebody before us had it harder. The reality of it is to run Habitat in this community during this time is an essential function, and we're incredibly honored to not only have a wonderful partnership with you from the RubberDucks, but I'm proud to call you a friend, and I'm proud of the leadership that you're doing.
Thank you. Well, hey, Ken, RubberDucks fans have raised over $120,000 in the 7 years we didn't get to have last year's season. So have raised enough money to build a house, one of these houses, fully supported by fans of the Akron RubberDucks through the 50-50 partnership. And, I'm grateful I took that chance. The first time I met you, when you arrived in town at the Leadership Akron New Leaders Reception, and as you were leaving, I introduced myself to you, and we started just chit-chatting about baseball. And my family's long history with baseball. My dad is an inductee in the Greater Akron Baseball Hall of Fame, and has coached hundreds and hundreds of kids in this community. And it was like we were linked, man. We were instant friends.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
And you said, well, we should do something.
Yeah.
And I came to your office for a meeting, and you sat down in the chair, and you said, well, let's see what we can do. This is Jim Fander. He's our general manager. He's a local guy. He's a Hoban guy. I'm a Hoban family. So it just was how it just all came together to have the 50-50 partnership with you guys has just been amazing.
Well, we sit here and look back. The reality is it's the fans, it's the community that built the house. It's the RubberDucks helped facilitate a great partnership with Habitat, which we're incredibly proud of. But the real thank you goes to anybody that has ever bought a 50-50 ticket at a RubberDucks game, and we're excited to continue that for years to come. So we're very, very proud of this partnership. It is real to be able to stand here on the concrete, seeing the drywall, seeing what come to life, what we imagined all those years ago. And so we thank everybody, of course, in the community and with Habitat, and the incredible volunteers that have played a role in building this. These things don't come out of the ground on their own as much as people think they do.
They don't. So you kind of answered, my question about, like, what would you tell people about getting involved with Habitat and in this campaign, and how they can make a difference? Whether it's the campaign or just a general day of giving their time to come out.
Well, and you see it, and I think I'm so happy that you invited me out back to the home this morning, because as I drove here, as I pulled my car up There's another one to the right, there's another one to the left, there's another one behind us, and I suspect there's many more being planned. And that's a function of your team and raising the necessary funds and all the philanthropic activity that we're doing in the community and the volunteers and the community. So, you're fortunate to work in a business where, as a thank you for that, you can actually physically show them this is what happened.
Yeah.
When this gentleman moves into this house in a few months, he'll have an opportunity to see it. He'll have an opportunity to feel it. But the pride that people will have, as we said, driving by, knowing that they played a role in buying that 50-50 ticket at a RubberDucks game or volunteering, those are real things. And so and I think we're incredibly proud of that and incredibly proud to continue it.
Well, how can I convince you to continue over the next 5 years? Like, what will Ken Babby commit to over the next 5 years in his relationship with Happy?
Yeah, so you have my commitment to be a great champion. You have our commitment to continue to work together on the 50-50 program. We're going to find other great ways to doing it. I'm not a golfer, but I know we're at your golf event every year. You wouldn't want to see that, but Jim Fander will proudly represent our incredible team.
I'll take his money.
That's right.
I'll take his $100.
That's right. So, and we'll find more ways. Just like we said in that very first meeting, as we sat there and brainstormed and thought of different ideas, and that's really the community's role in this as well, is to say, why not? Why can't we do these things? We spent a lot of time in 2020 talking about how we can be a yes organization, and find ways wherever possible to be able to say yes to help people out. And that yes may not always be able to write a check, particularly during these times, but we can be creatively brainstorm to be able to find ways to make an impact in the community by working with our fans, by working with you and your team. And so this is a phenomenal example of it. You have my commitment. Certainly, I'm a huge fan of what you guys have done here. We're just beginning. The house isn't even finished yet. And I know we're going to continue to build many more houses together in Akron, thanks to our incredible fans. Thank you.
So I'm smiling hugely.
Yeah, we're both smiling.
We're smiling.
Yeah.
I would love to give you a hug and a fist bump.
Soon enough.
Thank you for taking the time to do this today and coming, out to see a project and firsthand what not only your support as the owner of the team, but the community's support and just the forward thinking that you had and when we sat down together for that first time and struck up this partnership 7 years ago.
None possible without your leadership and your team and your board and everybody behind you, and the incredible staff at the RubberDucks who've done a phenomenal job, from Vicki Harris and Jim Fander and anybody that's ever heard the words 50-50 yelled at a RubberDucks game. Now you know. As you watch this video, you see this house, you hear those calls in the ballpark, and you know what it means. It means we're building something for somebody who's not as fortunate. It means we're building a place to be able to put a roof over somebody's head and to provide them heat during the winter. So now you know, and it connects it. And
maybe we'll tell Vicki to get a voiceover of her yelling
That's right.
50-50
That's right.
for us to release
That's
this
right.
video.
And we should play a portion of this video at games so fans can see that the impact that you're making when you buy that 50-50 ticket builds homes.
Exactly.
Right?
We were going to play the Imagine Impact video at the stadium this year that you originally recorded. So, hopefully when baseball resumes in the spring.
Like everything else we say, it will come.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. From the bottom of my heart, Ken, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle, and thanks to you and your team, and congratulations. This is a phenomenal moment, and we're proud to play a small part in the success.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks.